Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Big Questions, Small Steps. My name is Amanda and I'm so glad to see you today. Today's question that we're debating or topic that we're talking about is a little bit of veer off from what I have been talking about because it actually backs up quite a bit. This topic comes from way back when I decided to leave Christianity. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about Judaism and Noahide and what they are and how they're similar and how they're different. Because I struggled when I decided to leave Christianity, figuring out which path I was supposed to take. And quite honestly, I still struggle figuring out which path I'm supposed to take. But we'll get into that in just a little bit. To back it up. Okay, so I had decided to leave Christianity. I knew that Jesus was not my thing. I didn't want Jesus. I wanted a relationship strictly with God. So I knew that I needed to be in a monotheistic religion. So one God, only one God, no hierarchy, no triad, no, one God. Nothing else matters. So I knew that path was certain. So I went to my amazing boyfriend because he happens to be Jewish. And I shared this exciting news with him and I was all excited. And do you know what he told me? Don't do it. And I was baffled. I was hurt. I felt like he was rejecting me and basically saying, no, you can't be like I am. And no, I wasn't trying to be him. I just felt like everything he was telling me matched with what my belief was. So when he said, no, don't do it, I think don't do it, I was shocked. And I was surprised and I was hurt. And above all else, I was confused as heck. Because if he knew what I knew, and he knew I wanted to explore Judaism, and he said, don't do it, what was I supposed to do? Just live in limbo? I am not a limbo person. I desire to be a part of a group. And that was really tough for me to grapple with and kind of wrap my head around why he would be so strong and say, no, don't do it. Now, knowing what I know now, one of the main reasons it kind of discouraged my conversion to Judaism was he didn't want to cause any friction or damage any relationships between me and my family, because my family is all Christian. And there are some aspects of Judaism that conflict with Christianity. And there are some aspects that will make life a little more challenging. Now, Judaism is very much individual practice based. There are different levels of observances all over. And there are Jewish people, for example, who go to churches, and there are Jewish people who will not set foot in a church. There are Jewish people who have Christmas trees at their houses, and there are Jewish people who will not go to family functions if there are Christmas trees or Christmas presents or talk of Christmas, period. There's different levels of observances, and he was concerned that because my family was Christian, if I chose Judaism, that would create rifts and divides, and he didn't want that for me. He's trying to protect me. And I see that. but I still struggle with it. So that was my first encounter with when I said, okay, I think I want to be Jewish. I think I want to convert. That was my response from him. So I went and I learned more about different things. He is actually the one that suggested Noahide to me. Noahide and Judaism, like I said before, are very similar in many ways, but they're also different in very specific ways. I'll get into Noahide in a little bit, but because there's a lot of what Noahide is tied into Judaism, I'm going to explain Judaism first. And again, Judaism is huge. It is not just a race or a culture or anything like that. It's all encompassing. It's more than just a religion. There could be 20 videos about Judaism and I still would not cover every aspect about Judaism, and then all the variances, because as I said, every Jewish person is slightly different in their observance levels or how they live their Jewish life. But there is a number of things that tie all Jewish people together. And we focus on that, or I'm going to focus on that. So again, my knowledge, my understanding, I am not an expert, but I have information to share. So the Jewish people are tied together by a couple of things. They are tied first and foremost by the Torah. They view the Torah as the true word. There are many different Torah scrolls. Every single one of them is the same. They may be different sizes, they may have different coverings, but the writing in the Torah is the same throughout. Does not matter where you live, where you are. It doesn't matter. The Torah is the Torah, and the Torah is the only book that unifies everyone. Okay? So Torah is number one. It's huge. Jewish people are monotheistic. They believe there is one God, the creator of everything, and there is no need for a sequel or an in-between person in Judaism. So they not discredit, but they don't need Jesus for a number of reasons. But number one being, they don't need somebody in the middle. There is one God. They don't want to even entertain the idea of there being like a hierarchy or a triune where there's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. No, there's one God that you have a relationship with, one God that created you in his image, and one God that wants you to love him back and do things to make the world better. One God. That is a Jewish pillar, a Jewish essential, if you want to call it that. Another Jewish essential is the community. That community that goes to synagogue, that sees each other at special occasions. The Jewish people are small in number. They're small in number. They are not large. I believe the latest thing said there's like 2% of the population is Jewish. Might be as much as 15, but I'm pretty sure the number was 2. It is not very big. There are places where you may be Jewish and live in a community of all Jewish people. But you may also be Jewish and live in an area where you have to drive a half an hour, 2 hours to get to a synagogue. A Jewish person can still be a Jewish person without a synagogue, but they are not as strong without their community. Another aspect of being Jewish that's extremely important is the traditions that they follow. Every tradition, every holiday, every festival, every special observance is directly pulled from the Torah as to how they observe that. So for Rosh Hashanah, for example, it tells them in the Torah, are you supposed to go to synagogue and pray on that day? Are you supposed to eat or fast on that day? Are you supposed to work on that day? Or are you not supposed to work on that day? It tells them exactly what to do. And if it's not very specific in the Torah, one of the other resource books, so there's Tanakh and there's some Kabbalah and different things, that will tell them with more detail how they're supposed to do these observances. The traditions hold that tight-knit community together. That community is important because they have discussions around the Torah, and their discussions and their insights help strengthen the group as a whole. Another pillar or strong part of the Jewish culture, faith, and community is education. They want the Jewish people to be knowledgeable about the Torah. They want the Jewish children that are being raised in this community to know Hebrew. Now, you may wonder, well, why Hebrew? That's because Hebrew is the language that all the Torahs are written in. Hebrew is the language that binds all of the Jewish people together. Hebrew is the language that was spoken in Moses' time. That's what unifies the group. There are different aspects that unify and bring that community tight together. The Jewish people are small, but together they find their strength. They find their strength together for the one God. Now, taking a slight dovetail off of there, you might wonder, okay, so what makes you Jewish? So in Christianity, if your parents are Christian, most times you're raised Christian and you just kind of assume that. In Judaism, the passage of the Jewish trait, the Jewish culture, whatever you want to call that, is passed through the mother. So if your mother is Jewish, then the child will be Jewish. They may be non-practicing Jewish. They may be a secular Jew. They may be a different observance level of Jewish than the mother. But if the mother is Jewish, the child automatically is Jewish. Doesn't matter what they choose. They can choose to be a non-observant Jew and not do anything. That's their choice. They're still Jewish. So you can be born Jewish, or you can convert to Judaism or be a Jew by choice. That's where you would go through a Judaism 101 course, you meet with a rabbi, and you do a bunch of studying and things, and then you finish your conversion and you basically are accepted into the tribe of the Jewish people, and you're accepted into the community and that culture. It's a lifestyle. Judaism is more than just a religion, it's a lifestyle. There are many aspects that is embedded into it. And all of those different aspects are tied to the 613 mitzvahs that are outlined in the Torah. So a mitzvah is basically a law or a rule that the Jewish people are supposed to follow. And again, it's in the Torah, so it comes from God. So there are people who have different levels of observances and follow the different mitzvah at different levels based on their understandings. Okay? 613. That's a really big number. And it's rather startling to think that there are 613 laws, because growing up Christian, we were focusing on the 10 commandments. the 613 mitzvahs are still in the Bible. We just didn't really talk about them. We basically said all of that is combined into these 10 commandments, so we don't need to worry about that. The Jewish people know that there are the 10 commandments, but the 10 commandments are not the same as the 613 specific rules or laws or mitzvah that were written in the Torah. If it is written in the Torah, it's for a reason. So the Jewish people follow them. Again, at different observance levels. And of the 613, there is not a single person who can do all of them. And so the Jewish people traditionally try to pick one mitzvah to focus on or add or get better at every year. Because it's a lot. It's a lot. Of the 613, there are some that can only be done if you're male. There are some that can only be done if you're female. There are some that can be done only if you're doing animal sacrificing, and we don't do that currently. There are some that can be done only if you're in Israel. It's different laws. So not any one person can do them all. Now you may be wondering, 613. Well, okay, give me an example of what some of them are. So I wrote down just 8 of them, just because 613 is a lot. It's a lot, and I'm pretty sure if I read through them all, you would be overwhelmed, I would be overwhelmed, and we're probably both going to be falling asleep because it's a lot. So let's highlight just a few of them. The first that I have listed is about Shabbat, or the Sabbath. It's typically for Jewish people, it's Friday night into Saturday night, and it's how they remember, recognize that God rested on the 7th day of creation. It's a purposeful pause that Jewish people build into their week that helps them connect to God or Hashem. They use those names interchangeably. God and Hashem are the same. So that's one of the mitzvah, and it's a big one. Another one of the mitzvahs is to study Torah. You're supposed to read portions of the Torah every week. They're called the Parsha. And there's different studies that go along with it, because as you live your life, your knowledge and your understanding of the world around you changes. So as you're reading Torah, your understanding of that will change as well. So they continually want you to study and learn and read and do, because education is extremely important to them. And they want you to be knowledgeable. This is, again, Judaism is a lifestyle. They want you to be knowledgeable about it because they don't want you to get confused. Okay? Another one of the mitzvahs is you're not supposed to have tattoos, because your body is a gift from God and you don't want to deface his body and give it when you give it back to him. So there are different people who take different strands regarding that. There are people who will not do organ donation when they pass. They view that that's defacing God's property as his body and giving it back to him. There are people who don't observe that mitzvah and they donate everything. Again, different observance levels. A big thing in Judaism is they love their neighbor. They don't judge their neighbor. So they're not going to look at anyone and say, oh, well, why are they doing this? Or why aren't they doing this? That's not their place. They're not there to judge. God's the judge, not us. The Jewish people, I keep on doing that, I'm sorry. I am not officially part of the Jewish community yet, so I can't identify as Jewish, even though I live my life very much like a Jewish person. I am not officially Jewish yet. I have not finished my conversion, so I apologize if you are Jewish and I am stepping into that role too soon. My apologies. The Jewish people are very non-judgmental as a whole. They take to heart the mitzvah of love your neighbor. They try not to judge or assume different things. They know that in the Torah, God created Jews and non-Jews, or sometimes they call them Gentiles, and that both have a place and both can be righteous. It's just different observance levels and what they are called to do. But both can be good people. So the Jewish people try hard not to judge other people who are Jewish, as well as other people who are not Jewish. That's just what they do. Another one of the mitzvahs is that they should not murder. Killing people is bad, essentially. In the Torah, they say that time and time again. The sign between God and the Jewish people, or the covenant, is a circumcision, or the removal of the foreskin on males. So in Jewish communities, if you are a newborn male, there's a certain number of days, and then you'll have a procedure where the foreskin is removed and you're circumcised. That's one of the Jewish traditions, because that's the covenant. That's the sign of the covenant between God and the Jewish people. So that's a big one. That's a mitzvah. That's a mitzvah that I cannot do because I am female. Now, if you are an adult male and you are choosing to convert to Judaism, you do need to be aware that circumcision is a mitzvah. And so many places, if you are converting and you're male and you're uncircumcised, you'll need to have a circumcision. If you are male and you already are circumcised and you're converting, there is a workaround procedure for that. It does not involve your penis, but there's a way around that for that situation. But circumcision is one of the mitzvahs. Another one of the mitzvahs that is listed in the Torah is a big one, and it's probably the one that causes the most confusion or misunderstandings between Christians and Judaism. And that one is no idol worship. So because Jewish people believe that there is one God and only one God, there's not the Trinity, there's not a hierarchy, there is one God and one God only. Any idols, signs, symbols, praying to anything other than that one God is false idol worshiping or false gods. And that's not allowed in the Jewish tradition. So there are people who are Jewish that will not go into a church because there are crosses in a church. The cross is for Jesus. And that's an idol. They don't want anything to do with that. They will not go into a church. There are also Jews who go to synagogue every Saturday and they'll go to a church on Sunday and have no problem with it because they don't view that as idol worship. They're learning. And it's more about the experience. And they're not learning about Jesus. They're focusing on other things. It's different people's observance levels because, again, every Jew is an individual. They focus on not judging other people. But everyone has their own understanding. So they have their own observance levels. That's probably one of the ones that Christians struggle with the most because they don't understand why they would be fine coming into a sanctuary, but a Jewish person would not necessarily be fine going into a church. It's that particular reason about the idol worshiping. It's a struggle for some. It is. Another big law or mitzvah of the 613 is the laws of kashrut, or the laws regarding food. So in the Jewish culture, again, I'm going to say it for about the 15th time, there are different observance levels. There is what the Torah says, and then it's everyone's interpretation of what the Torah says that changes. In general, Jewish people do not eat pork and they do not eat shellfish. And then there's a bunch of bugs that they will not eat either. But in general, it's pork and shellfish that are the two that they won't do. Now, there are people who are Jewish that will have a bacon cheeseburger and have no problem with it. That's their choice. There are people who are Jewish that will have a full kosher kitchen. Now, a full kosher kitchen means they have 2 stoves, 2 ovens. They have different bakeware and pots and pans for meat items and dairy items. They have different silverware and different plates for different items. It's essentially having a double kitchen. They don't even wash the meat dishes in the same sink as dairy dishes. That's a kosher kitchen. And it's the separation, and it has to be blessed by a rabbi, and it has to be cleaned in a certain way and kept up to a certain standard. The people who keep kosher will be very knowledgeable about items in the grocery store that have kosher markings. There's little signs on it, like, for example, there's a triangle with a K inside, or there's a circle with a U inside. Those both are symbols on products that indicate that that item is kosher. In the Torah, it says that you should not cook meat in its mother's milk. So people interpret that in different ways. Some people will eat a cheeseburger because they say it's fine because the meat's already cooked before you put the cheese on top. Some people will not. Some people will not eat milk and meat within a certain time period because they don't want to have those 2 foods mixing in their stomach. Again, different observance levels, and that's their prerogative. I struggle with kosher laws because of where I live. I live in Wisconsin. They put cheese on everything, and currently I live in a small town. So kosher items are a little more challenging to come by. So many people in the Jewish practice, many of them are vegetarians, because then they don't have to worry about the meat portion. Again, that's one of their decisions. It's a mitzvah, and it's something that people choose to do on different levels. Now, there's 613, like I said. Not any one person can do all of the mitzvahs. Typically, every year, the Jewish people will choose one mitzvah to get better at or strengthen or add, because it's a process, and the Jewish people know that. They are not perfect, and they readily admit that there are ways that they can grow. So they will choose whichever mitzvah is feeling most important to them, their family, and their practice, and that's what they'll focus on for the year ahead. So in a nutshell, that's Judaism. It's linked together by there is one God, there is one Torah. They value community, they value education, they value tradition. All of those things tie together to make the Jewish people. And again, the Jewish people is more than just a religion or a race or a culture or a community. It's all encompassing. Being Jewish is a lifestyle. Okay? On the flip side, Noahide is just a religion. It's not a lifestyle, it's not a culture, it's not a community. Noahide is even smaller than Judaism. Noahides, they also believe that there is only one God, no Trinity, no need for a Jesus, no hierarchy, no saints, one God. The Noahides typically follow the Torah. Many Noahides will go to synagogues and study Torah. Noahides, because of their small number, typically do not have their own worship spaces, which is why you'll frequently see them in synagogues. They do not have their own leaders. So frequently rabbis will kind of like oversee their studies. Noahide is a new movement. It was initiated in the 1980s, And it was started by people who were Gentiles or non-Jews that left Christianity. So they were Christian, they left, but they didn't want to be Jewish. They felt a call that they could serve a greater purpose by stopping short of Judaism. They thought they could do greater things by teaching people of the world around them about one God and Torah without doing all the mitzvah. They thought it was very important to stop from combining to Judaism. That's why it started. Now, people who are Noahides today may still view that relationship as far as why they do not choose to go all the way and convert to Judaism. They want to stop short very purposefully because they can do better things there in their opinion. Or more frequently, they are Noahides because a conversion is just not practical or accessible to them in that time period. Whether it's their family is struggling with their decision, whether they just geographically do not have a rabbi or a synagogue around to support them in their growth, that would be another reason. It's typically one of those two reasons that someone chooses to be Noahide. It's very clearly not Christian and not Jewish. It's that in-between portion. There's a lot of things that Noahide people or the Noahides do that is very similar to Judaism, but it allows them to kind of move both ways. Noahides can go to a church service with no problem. Noahides can go to a Christmas gathering with no problem. Whereas a Jewish person may choose not to go to a Christmas gathering if it's a call to Christmas gathering, or if there's a Christmas tree, or if there's Christmas presents, depending on their observance levels. Noahides don't worry about any of that. They just kind of go and focus on there's one God. The big thing with Noahides is they follow not the 613 mitzvahs, they focus on the 7 laws of Noah. So that's what they focus on. Now you may wonder what the 7 laws of Noah are. They are in the Bible, they are in the Torah. However, it's frequently skimmed over. So let's investigate them a little bit, because 7 we can do. 613, no thank you, that's a bit much. 7 we can do. So one of the laws is you should not murder. Again, murder is bad, don't murder. Another law is that you should have no sexual immorality. In the Torah, because Noahides follow the Torah, there are rules and laws regarding sexual relations and who should sleep with who and who shouldn't sleep with who. They want to make sure that you are morally sound. So there are laws regarding who you can have relations with. And that's one of the things that Noahides follow. Another one that Noahides follow is no blaspheming, no negative talk of God and the directors of the organizations. You're not supposed to blaspheme. They're also supposed to set up a court system. So making sure that you have checks and balances to make sure that you don't stray too far from the Torah. Because Torah gives you laws, and it's very easy to let your self-determination and your individuality take over, and you just do whatever you want whenever you feel. The court system is supposed to keep you accountable to what you say you believe. Okay? Another one is you're not supposed to steal. Stealing's bad, murdering's bad. Don't do that. And then there should be no false gods. So again, there's one God, only one God, no false gods, no hierarchy. However, the difference between Judaism and Noahide is they don't have in there the portion of the idolatry. So they don't care about the symbols, for example. So they can go to a church just fine because a church has a cross. They don't care about that. They're not worshiping Jesus. They're worshiping God, and God is the only true God, so they're okay going to a church. Whereas Jews tend to struggle with that more. Another one of the Noahide laws is very specific, and it says no eating the limb off of a live animal. So there are no animals that are prohibited from being eaten in Noahide practice, but you just can't eat the animal while it's alive. So eating sushi, for example, is absolutely fine because the fish is dead when you're eating them. You can't take a cow, rip off his leg while he's still standing and eat the leg. That's not allowed in Noahide. So that's the big difference as far as kashrut, or the laws revolving around their food. So Noahide and Judaism, they both follow Torah. They both have one God that they worship and is the creator of everything. They are frequently both served by rabbis. They both frequently attend synagogue. The difference between the two, if you are Noahide, there are some things that you cannot do in a Jewish synagogue. And that may change depending on which type of synagogue you're at. You might not be allowed to go into a synagogue. If it's an Orthodox synagogue, you might not be able to be called up to the bima to read Torah. You might not be able to receive blessings in a synagogue if you're Noahide. You might not be able to get married in a synagogue if you're a Noahide. You might not have your marriage blessed or recognized by the synagogue if you're a Noahide. So there are things that make it different, but there's also a lot of things that make it the same. So I was presented with both of those choices when I left Christianity, and I was talking to my boyfriend, and he encouraged me to be Noahide just because it makes everything easier. It doesn't pull at those relationships. It doesn't cause any friction. The big pull from people from Noahide to Judaism is they want to be part of the group. They want to be part of the tribe. Noahides very blatantly will tell you they are not Jewish. They are not part of the tribe. They are in limbo. They are between two. Very purposefully for some, and for some, they're waiting until the circumstances are right to convert. So I struggle with the choice between if I was Noahide, if I chose to practice as Noahide. I'm already doing everything that the Noahides do. I could still go to church with my family. I could go to Christmas with my family. I could eat whatever I wanted, even though I'm one of those weird ones that prefer turkey bacon over regular bacon. I don't like regular bacon. Noahide would be easier. And I struggle with being selfish and wanting in the soul of my soul, the depths of my heart, to be Jewish because I'm part of the tribe and I can have all these amazing things, but it comes at the cost of some potential relationships that might be strained because some family members may struggle with my choice, and some family members may never fully accept my choice. It will cause lifestyle changes because Judaism is a lifestyle, whereas Noahide is not a lifestyle. So it's a struggle. For me, it's a struggle. And I would be lying if I didn't say that there are days where being a Noahide sounds very appealing. I don't have to worry about different things, and I don't have to be concerned about where I go to synagogue or if I can go to Christmas with my family or not. I wouldn't have to worry about that. But there is still an aching and a pull in my heart to be Jewish. And I struggle with that feeling of being selfish and choosing what I want to the exception or exclusion of what others wants and needs are. That's a struggle that I'm still dealing with. I'm still grappling with. And my head says one thing and my heart says one thing, but once in a while, I still struggle. I still struggle. So there you go. I'm not perfect. Never claimed to be, and I never will be. But now you know a little bit more about Judaism, and you know a little bit more about being a Noahide, and we'll continue to struggle. We'll continue on our path to learn and grow and know more, because that's what we do. We become a better person tomorrow than we were today. That's my ultimate goal. So I'll keep learning and I'll keep doing what I'm doing. And I hope you take care until I see you next time. Bye-bye.